So only a handful of people were asking me what I thought of Guardians 3, and I thought, we could end up doing a short little review. I'm not going to be able to insert any footage or anything of the Guardians movie. The only reason I'm bringing this up is because in my Mario movie review, I did end up taking some trailer footage, but that video kept getting copy claimed, so I'm not going to do that with the Guardians movie. It's just going to be me sitting here in front of the camera, a little bit awkward, but I think that was an amazing movie. Guardians of the Galaxy. Of all of the superheroes, I did not give a flying heck about the Guardians at all. But the irony is that Guardians of the Galaxy is probably my favorite out of the Marvel franchise because it's one of the only Marvel movies that actually feels human. Like, I think that the main themes that I could say with Guardians 3 is human and family. And we're talking about like a sewer rat having more humanity than any of the other Marvel characters. Like I ended up watching the new Black Panther when I was on my airplane trip to Japan, a month or two ago. It was bad. It was boring. And then I also ended up watching the Ant-Man movie, and it was also bad and boring. The CG was insane, but I really didn't like the main villain. He just didn't really work for me, even though he's supposed to be the next Thanos. The only reason I'm bringing this up is because in contrast, I really liked all of the characters in Guardians 3. Like the writing was super on point. It was really funny. It was really clever while also being able to make you shed a tear, with a really heartfelt message of supporting each other and staying together and staying strong. And even the main villain, I thought that he did a great performance, the actor, and the character itself, like just really brought the insanity to the role, and so much so that I really appreciated the fact that the Guardians movies always kind of humanize the bad guys as well. Not necessarily the main villain, like he was obviously like a psychotic, crazy person, but at least his minions were sitting there like kind of questioning his decisions sometimes. And, that's just something that I really appreciate instead of just, I'm the bad guy. That's it. It's kind of the same as how one of my other really, really highly recommended superhero movies is Aquaman, which Aquaman is like so stupid and lame. And yet the Aquaman movie from like a couple years ago was actually fantastic. The CG was amazing. It had a great story. It also had that human aspect to it, which is why I personally am more of a fan of DC rather than Marvel, because these characters feel more real and more gritty and more down to earth, despite the fact that they're literal gods. But moving back to Guardians of the Galaxy, we end up seeing some new characters introduced as well as just the classics, and they kind of try to push different dynamics. Drax is my favorite. I love Batista. I loved him when he was in WWE, and I think that he has become one of my favorite, like, of the wrestling actors, as much as I love The Rock or Dwayne Johnson. I think Batista is a lot more of an interesting, like, person, or at least what he brings to a role. Like, he's definitely a stronger actor, being able to actually like cry on cue and stuff like that, instead of The Rock where he always just raises his eyebrow, which I'm not saying anything against The Rock. I'm just saying that I just love him as Drax. Like, that's what really solidified him as an actor for me. And when I saw him in Blade Runner, or even in the most recent M. Night Shyamalan movie, which I forget what the heck it was called, but he was a character in that, and I just there's something about him, like he's got a charisma to him. But aside from all of that, all the other characters are there, and essentially something happens to one of the members of the Guardians, and the entire movie is almost them trying to basically find a way of helping that person, while still having like flashbacks and much needed story development of certain characters. And it kind of ends up leaving the Guardians on, I don't necessarily want to say a cliffhanger, because it does kind of all come to a culminated ending. But it does leave open okay, what's next? Because they kind of are a little bit, they're kind of all going their separate ways type of thing. So I wonder whether or not this is, Marvel and Disney saying goodbye to the Guardians, and more so focusing on their their usual Disney conglomerate, like get younger actors in there that nobody relates to or even feels any emotion to. But yeah, with all of that said, 5 out of 5, absolutely amazing movie. The only thing that I would legitimately complain about is the length. It's really, really long. So in comparison with the Mario movie, which was the most recent movie I'd seen outside of that Dungeons and Dragons movie that everyone recommended to me and it sucked. With the Guardians movie, it being so long means that I couldn't really see myself being like, oh man, I want to watch it again. Like with the Mario movie, it was like, what, 90 minutes or something? And immediately when I was done with it, I was like, let's go again, because it was just so short and to the point and sweet. Whereas with the Guardians movie, it's like, no, you gotta set time aside and be ready to like go through the entire experience of emotions. And I mean, if you don't feel any emotions, then wipe yourself off because you're dead. But yeah, highly recommend the movie. It's awesome. The next movie I'm gonna be seeing is Spider-Verse. So I'll end up having a review of that, which I'm sure is just going to be, oh, it's amazing. But yeah, for the few of you that even cared about my opinion on this movie, I do kind of like these movie reviews because it allows me to just kind of be completely myself and not worry about the production side of things and trying to make it snappy to the point. And not only that, but I don't really have to worry about editing it, because I can't use clips or anything like that, which I know that it means that these videos aren't as entertaining and aren't as clickbaity. They're not going to grab as many random people. But for those of you that are already fans of the channel, this is kind of my video series for you guys. And, I think it was Anthony. Shout out to Anthony. I think he was the one who was really, really adamant about saying, like, I want to hear your opinions when you've watched the movie. And yeah, it was fantastic. I loved it. Probably one of my favorite Marvel movies to date right now. And I have watched the more recent ones and am not excited in any way, shape, or form for that new Kamala Khan Miss Marvel movie. It just looks like generic Disney trash. But The Flash looks good. Not because the Flash sucks, but at the very least, it's the Flashpoint Paradox, which as a DC fan, I'm really excited for it. Despite the fact that I question why DC is already jumping to the end and why Henry Cavill isn't Superman anymore.